The sound of shattering glass echoed through the mansion. Chief Adewale Lawson had just thrown a crystal tumbler against the wall. "Say it again," he thundered. Across from him stood his only daughter, Isabella Lawson, her chest rising and falling, her hands trembling but her eyes steady. "I love him," she said again. The words hung in the air like a gunshot. "You love a driver?" His voice dropped, more dangerous than when he shouted. "You, Isabella Lawson, heir to everything I built, love a man who opens car doors?" She swallowed. "He's not just a driver." But this did not begin in the living room of the most powerful billionaire in Lagos. It began weeks earlier, with a door opened, a simple greeting, and a pair of eyes that refused to bow. Daniel had stepped out of the black Mercedes, walked around calmly, and opened the back door. "Good afternoon, Ma." Isabella had barely looked at him at first. Drivers never held her attention. They came and went, quiet, invisible. But this one looked directly at her, not boldly, not disrespectfully, just honestly. "Good afternoon," she replied. He closed the door gently after her and drove off. That first ride was silent. The second ride changed everything. Rain poured heavily that evening. Traffic was terrible. The windshield wipers moved rhythmically as thunder cracked across the sky. "Sir says we should take the express," Daniel said respectfully. "My father always says something," Isabella muttered. He almost smiled but held it in. After a few minutes, she spoke again. "Do you ever get tired? Of driving, Ma? Of serving people who don't even know your name?" He hesitated. "My name is Daniel." She blinked. "I know." There was silence. Then she asked the question that shifted the direction of both their lives. "If you had all the money in the world, what would you do?" Most men around her talked about private jets and islands. Daniel answered without thinking. "I would build schools in villages where children drop out because their parents can't afford books." She leaned forward slightly. "That's it?" "That's everything," he replied. That night, Isabella couldn't sleep. For the first time, someone around her had dreams that weren't coated in gold. Days turned into conversations. Conversations turned into laughter. Laughter turned into something neither of them wanted to name. One afternoon, as Daniel waited outside a boutique, Isabella came out early and surprised him. "Walk with me," she said. He froze. "Ma, your father." "My father is not here." They walked down the pavement, side by side, but careful not to touch. "Why did you stop school?" she asked softly. He looked ahead. "My father died. Fees stopped. Life happened." "Do you ever resent wealthy people?" "No." "Why not?" "Because wealth is not the problem. The heart is." She stopped walking. "You're different." He shook his head. "No, Ma, I just know what it feels like to lose everything." She searched his face. "Call me Isabella." He stiffened. "I can't." "Why?" "Because lines exist for a reason." She smiled sadly. "Maybe some lines are prisons." From that day, the tension grew. She began sitting in the front seat. He began speaking more freely. One evening, she asked him to stop by the beach before heading home. They sat inside the parked car, watching waves crash under the fading sun. "Daniel," she said quietly, "what scares you the most?" He answered without hesitation, "Losing my integrity." She felt her heart tighten. "And you?" he asked. "Living a life chosen for me." Their eyes met. Something shifted. Neither moved away. That night, when she entered the mansion, Chief Lawson was waiting. "You are late." "I went to the beach." "With who?" She hesitated a half second too long. "With the driver?" His voice sharpened. "He has a name, and you have a reputation." She walked past him without responding. From that moment, suspicion began. Chief Lawson built empires from instinct. He could smell danger, and Daniel felt it too. The next morning, Chief summoned him to the study. Daniel entered respectfully. "Sir?" Chief didn't offer him a seat. "How long have you been working here?" "3 months, sir." "And in those 3 months, you've grown very comfortable." Daniel remained silent. "My daughter is not your mate." "I know that, sir." "Do you?" Chief leaned forward. "Because I see how she looks at you." Daniel's jaw tightened slightly. "I have never disrespected your family." "That is not what I asked." Silence stretched. Chief stood slowly and walked around him. "Men like you see opportunity and mistake it for destiny." Daniel finally met his eyes. "With respect, sir, I am not after your money." Chief laughed coldly. "All poor men say that." Daniel's voice stayed calm. "I don't want what is yours, but you want my daughter." That was the first time it was spoken aloud. Daniel said nothing. Chief stepped closer. "Let me advise you. Whatever fantasy is forming in your head, end it. I have not crossed any line." "Good," Chief replied, "because if you do, I will erase you from her life so completely that even your shadow will forget her name." Daniel left the study shaken, but not broken. Later that evening, Isabella called him to the garden. "I know he spoke to you," she said. He nodded. "I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize for your father." She stepped closer. "Tell me the truth. Are you afraid?" "Yes." Her heart sank. "But not of him. I'm afraid of hurting you." She whispered. "You won't. Your world is different from mine. Then let me choose which world I belong to." He looked at her like a man standing at the edge of a cliff. "This won't end peacefully," he warned. She reached for his hand. For a moment, he hesitated. Then he held it. That single touch sealed their fate. If you're still watching this story and feel the tension rising, make sure you like this video right now, because what happens next will test love in ways neither of them imagined. Days later, things escalated. Isabella refused to attend a dinner arranged by her father with a wealthy investor's son. "I'm not livestock to be presented," she snapped. "You will attend." The argument lasted an hour. And when she didn't show up at the dinner, Chief's embarrassment turned into fury. He needed control. And he knew exactly where to put pressure. The next morning, Daniel arrived at work and sensed that something was wrong. The security guards avoided eye contact. The housekeeper whispered nervously. Then 2 men in suits approached him. "Daniel Okoro?" "Yes." "You need to come with us." "For what?" "You're being questioned regarding missing funds from Lawson Holdings." His heart dropped. "That's impossible." "Save it for the police." Upstairs, Isabella saw the commotion from her window. She ran down barefoot. "What is happening?" Chief stood at the entrance, composed. "He stole from the company." "That's a lie." "Evidence says otherwise." Daniel tried to speak but was handcuffed. "I didn't do this," he said, looking directly at her. Tears streamed down her face. "I know." Chief's expression remained unreadable. As the police car drove away, Isabella turned to her father slowly. "What did you do?" "I protected you." "You destroyed him." "I saved you from humiliation." "You don't even know what love is." He stared her coldly. "Love does not pay board members. Love does not protect legacies." She stepped back as if struck. "You don't even know what love is." Upstairs in a cold interrogation room, Daniel sat alone. "Confess," the officer said. "It will be easier." "I didn't steal anything." "Then show it." They didn't. Hours passed. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "Hold on." Back at the mansion, Isabella locked herself in her room. Her phone buzzed. "Unknown number." She answered. "Miss Lawson, this is Mr. Okonkwo from the board." "Yes?" "I believe your father has made a serious mistake." Her breathing quickened. "What do you mean?" I believe Daniel is being framed. Her heart stopped. And far away in a holding cell, Daniel looked up as the door opened again. This isn't over, he told himself. And he was right, because what was about to surface would not only shake a billionaire's pride, it would shake the foundation of his entire empire. If you think the truth is about to explode, comment "Truth always rises" below. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next part will change everything. Daniel had never felt silence this heavy before. The holding cell smelled of rust and sweat. A single flickering bulb above him buzzed like it was mocking his thoughts. He replayed everything in his mind. The sudden accusation, the so-called evidence, Chief Lawson's expression at the gate. This was not coincidence. This was war. A guard approached the bars. "You have a visitor." Daniel frowned. A visitor? Moments later, Isabella stepped into view. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but there was fire behind them. "Are you okay?" she asked immediately. He gave a small smile. "I've been worse." She grabbed the bars. "I know you didn't do this." He said carefully, "They have footage." "I asked to see it. They refused." He nodded slowly. "Because it doesn't exist." Her voice trembled. "My father did this." Daniel didn't respond. "That means you agree," she whispered. He looked at her deeply. "Your father protects what he thinks belongs to him. I don't belong to him." Silence passed between them. She leaned closer. "I'm going to fight this. Be careful. I'm not afraid." "I am," he said quietly. "Of prison? No, of what this will cost you." She swallowed. "You're worth it." The guard cleared his throat. "Time's up." As Isabella stepped away, Daniel called softly, "Isabella." She turned. "No matter what happens, don't let hate change you." Her lips trembled. "Come back to me." When she left, Daniel sat down slowly. He had lost many things in life, but this felt different. This felt orchestrated. Back at Lawson Holdings, Mr. Okonkwo sat in his office reviewing internal reports. 40 years on the board had taught him one thing: money leaves patterns, and the numbers accusing Daniel were too perfect. He pressed the intercom. "Call IT security." Minutes later, a young analyst entered nervously. "Sir?" "I want raw surveillance footage from the day of the alleged theft, not the edited files submitted to the police." The analyst hesitated. "Sir, that footage was deleted." "Deleted?" "Yes, sir, by executive override." Mr. Okonkwo leaned back slowly. "Who authorized it?" The analyst swallowed. "Chief Lawson." The old man closed his eyes. This was bigger than he thought. Meanwhile, Isabella stormed into her father's study without knocking. "You forged evidence." Chief didn't look up from his desk. "Mind your tone." "Did you delete surveillance footage?" "That information is confidential." "That means yes." He stood up slowly. "You are emotional. You framed an innocent man." "He is not innocent," Chief replied calmly. "He dared to reach above his station." She stared at him in disbelief. "That's his crime? Loving me?" "He manipulated you. He did nothing. You are blind." "No," she said, her voice steady now. "You are." He moved closer. "You will thank me one day. For ruining his life? For saving yours." She stepped back. "You think money gives you power over destiny." He looked at her sharply. "I built my destiny." "At whose expense?" she shot back. That question lingered longer than she realized, because in another office across town, an old file had just been opened. Mr. Okonkwo placed a faded folder on his desk. The name printed on it made his hands tremble slightly. Emmanuel Okoro, Daniel's father. He flipped through partnership agreements signed decades ago. Original ownership, 50-50. He frowned. That was not how history remembered it. According to public records, Chief Lawson had always been majority owner. So where did the shift happen? He reached for another document. Loan defaults, asset liquidation, emergency restructuring. Then he saw it. A signature. Emmanuel Okoro's signature dated 2 days before his fatal car accident. Mr. Okonkwo's heart pounded. He picked up his phone. "Isabella, we need to talk, privately." Later that evening, Isabella arrived at his office discreetly. "Sir, what is it?" He slid the file across the table. "Before your father was a billionaire, he had a partner." She frowned. "I know, he died." "Did you know he owned half the company?" Her eyes widened. "Half?" "Yes. That's impossible. My father always had controlling shares." "Not originally." She flipped through the documents quickly. Her hands started shaking. "Emmanuel Okoro," she whispered. "That's Daniel's father." "Yes." The air felt electrified. "Are you saying—" "I am saying your driver was never just a driver." Her heart pounded violently. "So what happened?" Mr. Okonkwo's voice grew heavy. "After Emmanuel's death, these documents show emergency restructuring, but the valuation is suspiciously low." "You think my father cheated him?" "I think your father saw opportunity." Isabella covered her mouth. "That's why he's so afraid," she whispered. "Afraid?" the old man asked. "Yes, this isn't about me. It's about history." She stood up abruptly. "We have to get Daniel out." Mr. Okonkwo nodded slowly. "I'm already working on it." The next morning, Chief Lawson walked into a board meeting expecting routine updates. Instead, every face looked tense. Mr. Okonkwo spoke first. "We need to address the Daniel Okoro situation." "There is nothing to address," Chief replied smoothly. "He stole from us." "Then why was original footage deleted?" Chief's jaw tightened. "This is ridiculous." "Is it?" Mr. Okonkwo placed the old file on the table. Silence swallowed the room. Chief stared at it. "Where did you get that?" "It was always here," Mr. Okonkwo replied calmly. "Just buried." Chief's voice dropped dangerously. "You are stepping into dangerous territory." "No," the old man said firmly. "You did that years ago." The room felt like it might explode. At the police station, Daniel was called out again. He expected another interrogation. Instead, a different officer stood there. "You're being released." Daniel blinked. "What?" "All charges withdrawn." His legs felt weak. Outside, Isabella was waiting. The moment he stepped out, she ran into his arms. "You're free," she whispered through tears. He held her tightly, overwhelmed. But across the street, a black SUV was parked. Inside it, Chief Lawson watched silently. His expression was unreadable. "Sir," his assistant asked quietly, "what now?" Chief's eyes hardened. "Now," he said slowly, "we finish what was started years ago." Back at the mansion, tension was suffocating. When Daniel dropped Isabella off later that evening, Chief was waiting at the entrance. "This ends tonight." Daniel stepped forward calmly. "With respect, sir, it already ended." "Oh no, you think this is about love?" Daniel didn't answer. Chief moved closer. "Your father made a mistake once." Daniel froze. Chief continued, his voice low. "He trusted the wrong man." Something clicked in Daniel's mind. "You mean you?" Chief's eyes flashed. "Careful." "You cheated him," Daniel said quietly. Chief's tone turned icy. "Prove it." Daniel didn't respond. Isabella stepped between them. "Enough." Chief looked at her with cold disappointment. "You chose him over me." "I chose truth." Chief laughed bitterly. "Truth?" He turned to Daniel. "You think you can step into my world and survive?" Daniel's voice was steady. "I'm not stepping into your world." "Oh?" "I'm stepping back into what my father built." Silence crashed down. For the first time in years, Chief Lawson looked uncertain, and that uncertainty terrified him more than rebellion ever could. If you're still watching and you feel the storm building, don't forget to like this video right now, because the final part will reveal a truth no one is ready for. Because the battle was no longer about love, it was about legacy, and legacies have a way of bleeding before they are restored. The next morning, headlines exploded across Lagos. Board investigates Lawson Holdings ownership dispute. Was Billionaire's empire built on a hidden betrayal? Phones rang non-stop inside the mansion. Chief Adewale Lawson stood by the window of his study, staring at the city he once believed he controlled. His assistant entered cautiously. "Sir, investors are requesting an emergency briefing." "Let them wait." "Sir, the shares are dropping." That made him turn. "How much?" 8% since market open." Chief's jaw tightened. Across town, Daniel sat quietly in Mr. Okonkwo's office. The old man studied him carefully. "You understand what this means?" Mr. Okonkwo asked. Daniel nodded slowly. "It means my father was erased." "It means," the old man corrected, "your father was robbed." Daniel swallowed. Mr. Okonkwo slid fresh documents toward him. "If these original agreements are validated in court, you legally inherit your father's shares." Daniel didn't touch the papers. "This will destroy him." "It may," Mr. Okonkwo replied, "but the truth does not destroy, it reveals." Daniel leaned back, conflicted. "I didn't fall in love with Isabella to fight her father." "And yet," Mr. Okonkwo said gently, "you are fighting for something bigger than love now." Daniel closed his eyes briefly. Memories flooded him. His mother crying over unpaid bills, eviction notices, the day his father's accident was announced. He opened his eyes again. "File the claim," he said quietly. Back at the mansion, Isabella confronted her father again. "They're filing a legal claim," she said. Chief didn't react. "I know. You're not even denying it?" He poured himself a drink calmly. "Business is war. So you admit it." "I did what was necessary." She stared at him in disbelief. "Necessary to cheat your partner?" "To survive," he snapped. "By stealing?" He slammed the glass down. "By seizing opportunity." Silence vibrated between them. "You loved him once," she said softly. "You called him brother." Chief's expression shifted for a split second. "Regret?" "No, something darker." "He was weak," Chief muttered. "Weak men lose." "And strong men steal?" she fired back. He turned away. "You don't understand what it took to build this empire." She stepped closer. "And you don't understand what it's costing you." Days later, the boardroom filled with tension thicker than smoke. Daniel entered, not as a driver, but as a claimant. Whispers followed him. Chief sat at the head of the table. "You look comfortable," Chief said coldly. Daniel met his gaze. "I belong here." The words landed heavily. Lawyers presented documents, old contracts, financial records, accident timelines. One board member cleared his throat. "Chief, why was Emmanuel Okoro's share valuation reduced days before his death?" Chief's silence was answer enough. Another board member spoke carefully. "If these documents hold in court, Daniel legally owns 40% of this company." The room fell into stunned silence. 40%. Not a small settlement. Not sympathy shares. Power. Chief's voice was low and controlled. "This is character assassination." "No," Mr. Okonkwo said calmly. "It is history." Daniel stood slowly. "I never wanted your empire," he said directly to Chief. He laughed bitterly. "And now you want both." Daniel's eyes hardened. "I want what was stolen." The meeting adjourned with no resolution, but the damage was done. Investors panicked. Media swarmed. Lawson Holdings stock continued to drop. That evening, Chief sat alone in his study. For the first time in decades, he felt cornered. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. "Sir, the insurance report from Emmanuel Okoro's accident has resurfaced." Chief froze. "What report?" "The brakes were tampered with." His grip tightened on the phone. "That file was closed," he hissed. "It was buried, sir, not closed." The line went dead. Chief's breathing grew heavier. Memories he had locked away began clawing back. A late-night argument, a disagreement over restructuring, a threat from Emmanuel to expose the undervaluation. Chief never touched the brakes, but he had known about the mechanic. He had looked the other way. And sometimes looking away is the same as pulling the trigger. Meanwhile, Isabella sat with Daniel at the beach, the same place where everything began. "I don't recognize him anymore," she whispered. Daniel stared at the waves. Power changes people. No, she said softly. Fear does. He turned to her. If this goes to court, it won't just cost him money. I know. It could cost him freedom. She closed her eyes briefly. He's still my father. Daniel nodded. And he was still my father's friend. They sat in heavy silence. Are you ready for what happens next? She asked. He answered honestly. No. The following week, the court proceedings began. Evidence was presented publicly. Old emails, financial transfers, deleted surveillance logs from Daniel's arrest. The media frenzy intensified. Inside the courtroom, Chief Lawson looked smaller than usual. Not physically, but morally. The judge reviewed preliminary findings. Based on the evidence presented, there is sufficient cause to freeze majority executive powers pending full investigation. Gasps filled the room. Chief's control was officially slipping. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed Daniel. Are you seeking revenge? Will you remove Chief Lawson permanently? Daniel paused before answering. I'm seeking restoration. His calm response went viral. Public sympathy shifted. The narrative changed. From poor driver chasing wealth to son reclaiming legacy. Days later, the board voted. Pending final court decision, Daniel would assume interim co-chair position representing the Okoro stake. The announcement stunned the business world. At the next board meeting, Daniel sat beside Chief, not beneath him, not outside the room, beside him. Chief leaned toward him quietly. Enjoy this moment. Daniel replied calmly. It's not about the moment. It never was? Asked Chief bitterly. No, Daniel said. It was about justice. Chief looked at him long and hard. You think justice will give you peace? Daniel didn't hesitate. It already has. That night, something unexpected happened. Chief walked into Isabella's room. He hadn't done that since she was a child. She looked up cautiously. I failed, he said quietly. She didn't speak. I told myself I was protecting you, protecting the company, protecting everything. At what cost? She whispered. He swallowed hard. I didn't plan his father's accident. She searched his eyes. But you knew, she said. He didn't answer. Silence confirmed it. Tears filled her eyes. You chose money over loyalty. He sat down slowly. I chose survival. And now? She asked. He looked broken for the first time. Now I'm not sure what I chose. Weeks later, the court delivered its ruling. The original partnership agreement was upheld. Daniel Okoro was legally reinstated as rightful heir to his father's 40% stake. Additionally, evidence of financial misconduct resulted in heavy penalties and Chief Lawson's permanent removal as sole executive authority. He would remain a shareholder, but no longer the king. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Daniel stood still. Isabella squeezed his hand tightly. Outside, reporters waited, but something even more shocking followed. During the press conference, Daniel stepped up to the podium. I have a statement. Cameras flashed. Today is not a victory over a man. It is a victory over silence. He paused. My father built this company with vision. Chief Lawson expanded it with ambition, but ambition without integrity collapses. Chief watched from a distance. Daniel continued. Effective immediately, I will allocate 10% of my shares to establish educational foundations in underserved communities. The crowd reacted audibly. And, Daniel added, I invite Chief Lawson to serve as advisor if he chooses accountability over pride. The invitation stunned everyone. Chief's eyes filled unexpectedly. That night, back at the mansion, something else happened. Chief stood before Daniel privately. You're offering me dignity I didn't give your father. Daniel nodded. I'm offering you a chance to end this differently. Chief's voice cracked slightly. Why? Because revenge would make me what you became. Long silence. Then, slowly, Chief extended his hand. Daniel shook it. Months later, the city gathered for a wedding no one had predicted. Not because of wealth, not because of status, but because of what it represented. As Isabella walked down the aisle, Chief watched her with softened eyes. When she reached Daniel, she whispered, "We survived." He smiled gently. "We restored." During the reception, Chief approached the microphone unexpectedly. Guests quieted. "Once I believed power meant control," he said slowly. "Today I understand that true power is correction." He turned to Daniel. "You are not the poor driver who chased my daughter." He paused. "You are the son of a man I wronged and the man who chose mercy over revenge." Silence filled the hall. Then applause rose. Love had not just survived, it had transformed. And as the night ended, the empire stood, not perfect, but honest. If you've watched this story to the end, you've witnessed more than a love story. You've seen how truth rises, how integrity restores, and how mercy rewrites legacy. If this moved you, like this video right now. Comment "Love over power" if you believe integrity always wins. And subscribe for more stories that remind us that sometimes the greatest wealth isn't money, it's character.